Well, welcome everybody. I am Al Thorpe, the Executive Director for the Indiana Mortgage Bankers Association, and I'm here today with Jonathan McKinnies, Branch Manager at Hallmark Home Mortgage, based out of South Bend, Indiana. And Jonathan, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it, Al.
Oh, you bet. Well, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into mortgage banking and gotten to the point where you're at today.
Yes, well, I am a producing branch manager at Hallmark Home Mortgage. Been with Hallmark since 2009, and I've been in the industry since 2006. Started in the industry while I was still finishing up my degree in business management at IUSB, Indiana University South Bend. And while I was there, I was looking into different roles, different industries, and just so happened to have a connection in the real estate industry, the mortgage industry. Had an opportunity that was given to me. Didn't know much about it at all. I never owned a home even at that time. And once I got the opportunity, it just kind of took off. I started to learn the ropes, took all the advice I could get. And as I did that, just opportunities continued to come. And I'm kind of where I am today, just for the fact of just sticking it out and staying motivated, staying consistent. And I had an opportunity to be a manager a few years back. And, I've been loving all the opportunities that I've been getting, and I'm just thankful for it.
Well, good. Thank you. Well, and most of us don't dream of getting into mortgage banking when we're in high school or college. It's one of the things that our industry doesn't necessarily do a great job of doing, is promoting to young people, although we're working on that. With that, you may be like many people who had mentors in their careers, and in terms of what's the best advice you've ever gotten from a mentor or a couple of mentors in your career here in mortgage banking?
Well, there's been a couple things. So if I'm in sales, a sales role, more of a commission-based structure, that can be very disheartening when you're not doing very well or you're first getting started. And for me, there was, I think, two bits of advice. One was just give it more time. So those that were just starting, me when I was just starting, I found a way to give it more time and continue to, put my effort in. And as time went on, gave it another month, gave it a couple more months. I just stayed with it, and the business started to become more of an annuity, and I started to get more traction. But you have to give it some time, number one. So patience was a big part of that advice. And number two, I would say the word consistent, being very consistent. I think a lot of people, when it comes to success in life, or especially anybody in an advisor commission-based role, a lot of times they want to go after the shiny objects. They want to go after the next best thing. They want to go after what's going to be the easiest way to be very successful. And what I found is that it doesn't happen overnight. You have to stay consistent, doing all the things that you need to do to continue to get that momentum going. And I always say this to my team, and I say it to a lot of people in my life, and that is continue to plant seeds, keep planting seeds. Don't gauge your success necessarily on the harvest, but base it on what actions and activities you're doing that will eventually lead to a harvest. And so that was the advice that I received, and I've consistently used that advice for other people as well.
Yeah, well, and that's great advice. Not too many people get into this industry when basically it's like shooting a fish in a barrel, which to some extent it's been the last few years with rates going down as much as they did. What do you enjoy best about your job?
I tell my team the biggest thing that we must keep in mind every day when we show up for work, and that is we're serving families. And so if we can somehow impact families, I know that sounds cliche, but truthfully, this job can be, or any job for that matter, can cause burnout. You have a lot of hours put in, a lot of, curveballs or issues you have to deal with, a lot of critical thinking. You can really, just sometimes lose sleep over certain situations when it comes to families and the people you're trying to serve, and you're trying to do a good job and trying to get the business. You're trying to call people back, and you're doing all these different things. And so through all of that, I always remind the people that work with me and for me is that, remember, we're serving families. We're continuously looking at this as not just a unit, but as a family served. And I think if you keep that perspective, That's really helpful. And that's what I love most about the business, is that there's a bigger purpose than just a mortgage. There's a deeper why there than just, an interest rate. It's so much more than that. It's actually going deeper into families that you're serving.
Yeah, and that's a great answer, and very rings very true for many of us. And the fact is that home ownership is the greatest source of generational wealth transfer in the history of the United States. So when we're helping out a family, we're helping out a family in many cases for decades. So with that, a light question to end this is, if you could snap your fingers and become an expert in something else, what would that be?
That is a really good question. I think there's a couple thoughts there, and all of it stems around being a little bit more mechanical in my thinking. I am not the most mechanical or technically savvy as you would think. And so if I could learn a lot about vehicles and engines and how they work, that would be a huge thing for me. Or on the flip side, the newest technology, just knowing how to be better in IT. So if I could snap my fingers and be a better IT brain, robotics type of a brain, that's what I would like, because I am not that way. So
yeah, well, I'm with you, and probably far behind you actually in that regard. So, well, with that, Jonathan, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
I appreciate it, Al, and appreciate your leadership, and just appreciate the IMBA as well. It's awesome to be a part of it.